Hi everyone and welcome again to another short video of mine. Today I'm just gonna talk a little bit about the current armed conflict that is going on in West Papua between the Indonesian uh, military, police and TPNPB or the West Papuan National Liberation Army. Anyway, before that, I'm just gonna highlight some facts or some things that happened recently, and I think it's very important for everyone to know. Firstly, in regards to the recent UN General Assembly meeting in New York, the Indonesian highest ranking officer, the Indonesian Vice President, in a speech or statement at the recent UN General Assembly meeting in New York, lied in front of world leaders, saying that there is no human rights violation in West Papua. And a week later, the Indonesian military and police raided uh, a village in Tingginambut in the Puncak Jaya Regency of West Papua, and it was actually a surprise attack. It was done in the one of these isolated villages where you have members of the TPNPB. That's where the area where they're actually based. And when they raided the village, it was like a surprise attack. So most of the people that were there were caught in surprise, and they shot uh, the people over there, and as a result, 10 people got killed. Among them were two civilians, including a child, a woman, and a woman who is also the wife of General Gole Tabune, who is a one of the commander of TPNPB in West Papua, and we would like to send our condolence, especially to the families of those who were killed, and also among those who were killed was one of the special staff that works alongside Mr. Tabuni. So on behalf of Global Campaign for UN Peacekeeping Mission to West Papua, the chairman and the executive members, we would like to send our condolence to our families in Tingginambut, especially those that lost their loved ones. And our thoughts and prayers are with you all. And we condemn the actions of Indonesian military because it contradicted the whole statement of Indonesian government at UN when they said that there is no human rights violation in West Papua. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine it? Saying that in front of world leaders that there is no human rights violation in West Papua, and a week later they raided these villages, in surprise, and attacked everyone. As a result, thousands of the civilians have fled into the jungle. These surprise attacks and raids has actually resulted in a serious humanitarian crisis where civilians have now fled into the jungle, and they don't have any access to clean water, food, and medical care. And we are concerned about the well-being, especially for the women and children and those who are still hiding in the jungle because they are really traumatized with what actually happened over there. And that was in Tingginambut. And also, these are military raids and operations that are being carried out right now in West Papua. And there is another one going on in Lany Jaya in West Papua. So it is one of the remote highlands province of West Papua. So um, they carried out the attacks, raids in these villages. They were aftering the members of TPNPB, or the National Liberation Army of West Papua. And what happened was, instead of pursuing or chasing the members of the TPNPB OPM, they just indiscriminately shoot into where the civilians are, and as a result, it kind of like panicked everyone, and if the civilians, they ran for cover, and they just beat anyone that they come across. Instead of people living in the villages, they don't know, they don't have any connection to um, all this connection with OPM or all these political movements that are going on. Some of them, they are just ordinary villages, going about with their own little day-to-day business activities. So what happened was, Indonesian military, when they come to these villages, they don't differentiate that which ones are civilians and which ones are connected to OPM or all these political movements. They just like labeled everyone as separatists. And this is the stigma that is being labeled on everyone in West Papua, even though you're not involved in or connected to any political parties, groups, you're labeled as separatists. So if you could remember, I think early this year on 27 January, TPNPB, or the National Liberation Army of West Papua, um, uh, did a statement calling out for a all-out war against the Indonesian state. So OPM or TPNPB, more or less, like, they have come out publicly and telling us where they stand, the position in regards to the political, the struggle for independence for West Papuan people. And this year they've actually declared all-out war against the Indonesian state. So, and I think they're brave enough to do that. But Indonesian government hasn't come out clear and telling everyone where the position is. Like, they're not brave enough to do that. I think for some reasons they don't want to let everyone know their position or their stance. So what they're doing is, they are secretly sending all this Indonesian military and police equipped with fire, high-powered military equipments, and all this equipment for war, as if they're trying to engage in a war with a sovereign nation. West Papua is not a sovereign nation. It is a country that has been colonized by illegally colonized Indonesia. So they don't have all these those modern weapons to engage in a war. And what Indonesian government is doing is that they are sending thousands of Indonesian military and police to West Papua, and engage in all these military raids and attacks on villages, especially in the remote areas of West Papua. And recently, what happened in Duga back in June, as a result, they carried out an airstrike in village of Algur, and they sort of completely flattened the village. So this is a result, another humanitarian crisis did occur, where the civilians, thousands of civilians, actually fled to the village, and some of them uh, were finding it very hard, like they don't have access to uh, food, clean water, healthcare, and the thing that I also spoke with some of my friends. They said that some of the civilians who were victims of what happened in Duga when Indonesian military bombed that village. They actually fled to Puncak Jaya, and then with the recent attack again in Puncak Jaya, especially in Tingginambut, they've become victim again. So they've actually joined the rest of civilians have gone hiding. So this is where the world needs to know that currently there is an armed conflict going on in West Papua between the National Liberation Army of West Papua, TPNPB OPM, and the Indonesian military and police. So they're carrying out all these attacks in the remote villages and even in cities as well. They're doing it, but most of the serious crimes are happening in the remote villages. So they are thinking that, like, what happened won't be reported. Like every time we try to remind Indonesia, like, this is not like 40, 50 years ago. The world has changed. The world has changed. So every West Papuans have access to latest smartphones where they can take the photos immediately and upload it on Facebook and let the world know. Although Indonesian government bans foreign media and journalists from going to West Papua, but we still get information about what's being done at closed doors. So we condemn the actions of Indonesian military in Lany Jaya and in Tingginambut in Puncak Jaya, because this contradicts the statement made by Indonesian government through its vice president. The highest ranking officer in Indonesian government went and lied in front of world leaders at UN and saying that there is no human rights violation in West Papua. Can you believe it? A highest ranking Indonesian officer going to UN and lied in front of world leaders saying that there is no human rights violation in West Papua. In fact, that is a big fat lie. Currently, there is human rights violations still being committed by Indonesian military and police in West Papua, and also being carried out by their secret agents against civilians in West Papua. And also there is ongoing armed conflict in West Papua between Indonesian military and the TPNPB, or the National Liberation Army of West Papua. And we will also keep on updating you guys on this war that is happening. And in regards to my post yesterday, I think 2 days ago, in Lany Jaya, where they raided these villages and they destroyed the properties and the livestock that belongs to the locals. They shot the pigs that belongs to the local in the community. So imagine, especially pigs in Melanesian culture, especially in New Guinea, pigs are highly prized, and it's used in many occasions, and one of them would be especially for people up in the islands. They look after pigs, and when they sell that, the money that they get from selling pigs, they can be used to pay for the children's school fee. They depend on those animals especially. And when they shot the pigs, it's like you cut off their the financial lifelines. That's where they earn money from. So we condemn the actions of the Indonesian military, and what they did was inhumane. You cannot do that to civilians who have no connection or who is not part of any political movement or groups, and then they're being targeted just because they're West Papuans. They're being labeled as separatists. And Indonesian government needs to differentiate that. They are civilians as well who are caught in this, all this conflict. So we would like to appeal to international government, especially the governments of the Pacific, Australia, New Zealand, PNG, to look closely into this current armed conflict that is going on right now in West Papua between the Indonesian military and the National Liberation Army of West Papua, because it's causing serious humanitarian crisis, and as a result, civilians that are caught in the middle, they are becoming victims of this continued war that is going on in West Papua. So anyway, we had a rally on Monday, which was Monday last week, which was very good. Although we're not many numbers, we always know that whenever we represent our people to advocate for them, we always know the spirit of our ancestors, and for families in West Papua are always with us. We're able to get the message across the Indonesian government through its consulate here in Melbourne. And as I've always said, this is not 40 or 50 years ago. The world has changed, and they cannot hide from the truth. Whenever they do something or they commit crime in West Papua, it will be exposed within another 10-15 minutes. So Indonesian government cannot hide anymore, cannot lie anymore in front of world leaders. They need to admit their mistakes, and they need to know that West Papuan people has a right to independence. Under international law, West Papuan people has a right to independence, and this right was violated by Indonesian government in 1969 by committing a sham referendum without even consulting, engaging every adult Papuans. How can you go and select 1,022 Papuans, force them at gunpoint, and force them to say yes to become part of Indonesia? This is a complete breach of UN laws on, especially on how to conduct a referendum. You cannot force people to say yes, to follow what you want. Under international law or the normal UN system of voting, you have to engage all the other Papuans to participate in a referendum, because it is something that will determine the future. So you cannot go and blindly select 1,022 or 25 people, force them at gunpoint to say yes to become part of Indonesia. This is completely illegal. You cannot do that. So we want to remind Indonesian government, you cannot continue to hide, you cannot continue to lie about the truth, because West Papuan people has a right to be free. West Papuan people has a right to be independent, and under international law, West Papuan people has a right to choose their own future. And with that, I want to thank you all for your time, and thank you for standing with us. And we know that one day West Papua will be free, and for because of people like you, whatever you do is a step in the right direction. When you go out and talk about West Papua and about the struggle that we go through, it is a step in the right direction. And everything that we all do counts. And we want to thank everyone for your support and continue to stand with us, because we believe that one day West Papua will be free. Whether the Indonesian government likes it or not, one day West Papua will be free. Thank you, and God bless you all.